Hey Rob.
Hey Izzie, welcome to Faith for Dummies, aka us.
What are we doing here?
Well, Izzie, you and I were chatting, weren't we, about things that could benefit teenagers looking at Christianity either for the first time or for like the 100th time perhaps. And we just wondered if there was a podcast really out there that could help these teenagers in their journeys really. And we wanted to do something that kind of helped that really. That wasn't boring or anything, and just kind of real, with not with all the answers, but just a bit of fun really and whatnot. And yeah, so that's kind of what we're doing here. We thought it'd be a good idea to straight away call ourselves dummies because we are a little bit, aren't we? Yeah. So what do you think, Izzy? Did I miss anything?
I don't think so. Yeah, we want to have some honest conversations. We have questions ourselves, but we also remember having questions when we were younger. So we want to be a place where we can ask the honest questions and give the honest answers, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I've kind of said a little bit about it already, but who's it for, Izzy? What can our listeners expect from this?
Yeah, so we wanted this podcast to be mostly for teenagers that have recently come to faith or, like you said, have been a Christian for a while, but still have lots of questions or things coming up as they navigate this crazy world that we're in. And so I think you can expect some good and bad jokes, some stories, some answers to questions about maybe how we feel about our faith or what the Bible has to say about certain questions. We want to just have a chat about stuff. We won't always have the answer, and some answers don't really have a proper answer. But we just want to have a chat about those things and maybe just encourage you every week to think a bit deeper about stuff, to look at the Bible for yourself, and to talk to God about your questions.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think the only thing I would say is really just something that's not going to be an hour podcast, something that's quick and easy to listen to, I think, and honest. I think just hopefully something that will help teenagers out there. So this is our first one, Izzy. We already have managed to do an outtake because we're not perhaps experienced in recording podcasts, haven't we? But why don't we do brief introductions about ourselves, maybe what our faith was like as a teenager, but equally we can go into it in more detail at another time. So why don't we just do something that just kind of scratches the surface, leaves people wanting to come back for more. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, great idea. So I came to faith when I was 15, almost 16. Came from a very non-Christian household. My parents are wonderful, but they just were not church people at all. So I went along to youth group and made some friends, met some boys. And I loved it. And I realized I'd never really learned about Jesus. I kind of learned about God, but I'd never really learned anything about Jesus. So that's where I found out about him and how much he loved me and what he'd done for me. But I had a lot of questions. I had a lot of big questions about suffering and heaven and all of those sorts of things, but also lots of little questions about how it was going to change my life and my relationships and my friendships. So that's kind of where I came from as a teenager. What about you?
Great. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I mean, I was brought up in a Christian family, so parents, sisters, going to church every week. And it took, when I was about in year 10, my non-Christian friends invited me to the youth club at the local church, and I went along there. And I was really all of a sudden ingrained in this youth culture of this church, of this local church, where things felt different from the churches that I'd been in. And I'd already been baptised. I already knew all the correct answers to the Sunday school questions. And I think it was between like that and going to summer festivals, and just really having those peers around me that were going through the same thing and making it really fun as well, where I kind of heard more and thought, wow, this is really real, and I want this, and I want this passion. And actually, I really love Jesus. And so, yeah, I've kind of been dealing with that as I've grown up, really. I mean, that's kind of it, really. We're both youth leaders for churches, aren't we?
Yes.
And I think for me, my youth experience as a teenager really helped me think, wow, I really want to be involved in this and be a youth leader for a church and kind of help what happened to me a bit. So yeah, that's a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. Being in a youth group was so beneficial for me. Being like discipled and mentored, led by some really godly men and women was so helpful. And we would really encourage anybody to join a youth group if they want to find out more about God. We really hope that this podcast is helpful, but we hope that it comes alongside being part of a youth group, being part of a church. And yeah, we're both youth leaders. I don't know if we said that before. We both lead youth groups. So we love having these conversations with our young people as well. Yeah. So what are we going to be doing next week?
Absolutely. Yeah. So next week we thought we would chat about Christianity. Is it all rules or is it relationship? Spoiler alert, it's relationship. But perhaps we can talk about that in a bit more detail, really.
Yeah, that's a great idea. There are loads of moments where we feel like we're not good enough, or we're not doing what we should be doing, or the Bible just has loads of things to say about how we should live. And if we did everything every single day, we'd have no time left for anything else. But we also know that God is a God of relationships. So we want to chat about that and how that works in our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing that we also thought would be good really to end with a question back to our audience people, you guys really. So this week's question is, what are your questions about being a Christian teenager? Because obviously we're not teenagers anymore. We're old in comparison, and therefore we might have ideas about what you want to talk about and what you want to hear a bit more on, get some youth leaders' perspectives on. But none of that really means anything if you're not interested. So we've got some ideas, but please do get in touch if you have any questions about being a Christian teenager, or things that you want to discuss more.
Yeah, and we will put an email address in the notes of this podcast. So you should be able to find that. And we will start answering some questions as the weeks go on.
Yeah, sounds good, doesn't it?
Let's hope so. Nice to speak to you, Rob.
Nice to speak to you too. All right, should we say goodbye, everyone?
Bye.
See you next time.